Welcome to my most ambitious week in life vlog yet. So this week, I am challenging myself to complete an overwhelming number of high-impact tasks in just 7 days. I have deliberately overloaded my schedule as a personal test to push my limits, which I do often, by the way. So the challenge is, can I actually accomplish everything from preparing a big Bosch presentation that will reach potentially tens of thousands of engineers to onboarding 2 new team members in our company, as well as revamping our entire email funnel, scripting multiple tech videos, kicking off our very first influencer marketing campaigns, also coming up with new LinkedIn posts format and new offer packages for our main product, all while reading an entire business book, completing 2 days of fasting, and dedicating daily time to study global economics and AI advancement trends. So I will take you along daily to see my real-time progress bar filling up as I tackle these few large projects along with lots of smaller but important tasks. Now, most importantly, in this vlog, I want to give you the most raw, unfiltered access to what running a 7-figure business actually looks like when operating at maximum capacity. And that's why it's probably going to be over an hour long or so, because I want to include the details and I also want to make it fun and engaging for you. So we're going to bring a little bit fun element into this. Now, I'm documenting this extreme week not only as a personal challenge, but also to demonstrate what's truly possible in a week, in just 7 days, how much you can actually accomplish if you give complete focus and dedication to something. You can literally pull the future towards you much faster. And because it's raw, you will actually see my genuine struggles, breakthroughs, and real-time insights as I try to balance content creation, team management, business development, personal growth and development, all while remembering and maintaining the perspective of why I'm pushing so hard. Because trust me, if you're working really hard on things that are meaningful for you, you know why you're doing them, you will get fulfillment, not a burnout. Burnout comes from working long hours and working hard on meaningless stuff. So let this be your inspiration to level up your own productivity and also the reality check of what entrepreneurial success requires. So we're starting the week. It's Monday morning, the first day of the challenge. We got a lot to do, so let's get to it. Done with my first session of work. I didn't manage to do all the tasks that I planned for today. It was a lot of work actually. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because the goal is to finish off all the tasks by the end of the week. I may distribute it differently. However, I was still super productive. So the YouTube video script for Tech Channel is almost done. So the most difficult part is done, which is coming up with a flow of the story of how I explain a certain concept so that it's easy to follow and it has lots of technical details inside. And basically now the last piece missing is to reword and write out the script in which I'm going to record the whole thing. And then I switched to preparing the presentation about platform engineering that I'm going to talk about, basically a developer conference that they hired me as a speaker to talk about the platform engineering concept for the developers. And it took a little bit longer because I tend to go into details and really dig into a specific topic if it's complex, because I enjoy working on complex technical problems. Of course, this makes the whole process a little bit longer and slower. So I may need a few more days, maybe another 5 to 6 hours to prepare the whole presentation about platform engineering, because I'm doing a lot of research in addition to make sure that I have really specific examples about different tech stack and engineering teams and so on, because I just like digging into those things, and this will provide much more value for the presentation, for the people who are the engineers who are listening, and for the company who hired me, but it will require more work from my side. Doing a really high quality work, even if it takes longer, always pays off long term. That's why I'm okay to invest a little bit more time in that. Yeah, also during the first task, which was writing the script for What is CI/CD, the tech channel, I actually got lots of really amazing ideas for content creation for my business channel, for my tech channel, some new business models and stuff like that. The way it happens, sometimes I get in the flow where I have very original creative ideas, and when that happens, I usually, script out the whole thing. I note down the ideas, and this happens usually because I have some kind of trigger that led me to kind of pulling that thread and getting inspired. And basically I wrote down in detail the super creative ideas that would be amazing content for both channels, also scalable. I wrote down some implementation details of how I would implement this. Yeah, so I got a little bit carried away, which I love when I have those type of ideas, when I'm in the flow, because then I'm really deeply thinking about the content or the business growth or the brand growth. Usually really creative and original ideas come to me in that state. I don't mind interrupting the current task to note down those. It actually makes me even more excited to do the work. I get energized for the whole day. Yeah, I have a few other things to do. I expanded my work by 1 more hour. I'm super happy actually, because tomorrow I have no meetings, which means I have a whole block in the morning today for doing around 6 hours of work, and then I have the whole afternoon where I'm gonna do probably completing all the scripts that I've started to outline today, and I'm gonna have around 12 uninterrupted hours of work to get some things done and actually finish off, complete my tasks. So I'm super happy about that, because I'm gonna feel very productive going into the rest of the week. So looking forward to that. So it's evening already, end of the day. We had a meeting with our new video editor. It was just a final confirmation meeting to, make sure that everything is fine. She's a great culture fit. She's really talented and great at what she does. So that is very important for us, because we are very picky in hiring new team members, because we usually don't hire like junior level people who need a lot of hand-holding, a lot of structure and a lot of teaching. We try to hire people that already have either a lot of experience or they are really good at what they do, right? They just have like a really exceptional talent. It just makes everything afterwards easier, because they are much more creative, they are much more proactive, they don't need hand-holding, they don't need to be told exactly what to do. And we also don't have a culture where we try to control people's work. We give a lot of freedom, we give a lot of work freedom. Everybody is basically working remotely, and everybody is managing their time themselves, so we don't have any fixed hours of work. A lot of flexibility, like they can work any time of the day, any day of the week, as long as the work gets done. And I try to empower them as much as possible. It also serves me, because I don't need to be involved with every single decision, and I empower my team members to make decisions about a lot of things, so they don't need to ask me all the time. So anytime they need input on a lot of things, I try to teach them how to approach this type of questions long term, so that they can decide themselves for it, instead of just giving them the answer to that specific question. That is our kind of framework for what type of people we're looking for. Someone who doesn't need that much input and is not anxious to make any decision. I'm happy about this new addition, and I know that this type of team members, of course, you always have an overhead of onboarding someone, training training someone at the beginning, but I know that very soon, actually pretty quickly, they become productive and they take a lot of work off of your plate, or they start doing some additional valuable work for your business, for your company, naturally for your customers and people that you are serving. I'm very happy that we're gonna get her onboarded, and basically we're gonna have a little bit of work to, make sure to give the accesses and create the project so that, she can start as smooth and as fast as possible. And then we had an actual onboarding call with another team member that is starting today. It's for the customer success manager / PM role. So someone who is gonna be like a gateway to all our customers and students, because we have 8,000 of them. So it's pretty, for me, it's basically not manageable to be in contact with every single one of our customers and to understand what they like, what they don't like, what improvements we can make. And I just believe that as a core of a business, it's always to have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in the background, and also proactively find out before someone reaches out and says, either they don't like something or they like something. So I want to make that communication proactive from our side. So basically one person who will be solely responsible for communicating with students and just keeping that communication much more proactive. We try to streamline these onboarding processes in our company, which means he got all the accesses in one evening, in basically just half an hour. And I also created a project for him. It's a new role that we never had before, so it is a little bit of more effort because, new type of projects and stuff like this. So on my side, recruiting doesn't stop when you find an exceptional talent and you onboard them. You need to stay on top of the game to make sure that person knows what the mission is and what the first next steps are. Basically, what is the measurable goal for him specifically in the company, or for her, that they work towards with. Because I'm the type of person that I need some kind of goal, some kind of purpose, mission to be motivated, and I also look for this type of people to work in our team who are also motivated by this and not just by doing the hours and getting a salary. So I created, kind of project outline with a clear focus of this is a priority, this is what we want to achieve. That is basically done. Right before that, I gathered the last pieces of energy that I still had for the deep work, because usually after 4 or 5 hours of really creative work, when I'm actually generating something, I just lose my creativity flow. I just can't create quality work anymore. But I tried to, because I had it planned for today, I tried to use the 1.5 hours for scripting videos for this channel. I wanted to have outlines actually prepared so that I could continue them tomorrow, but I ended up writing the entire script, almost completely done, for one of the videos, and the second one just created an outline. It was super productive 1.5 hours that I got in right before the meetings. So right now I'm actually happy that the day is productively completed. And I'm gonna wrap this up by going to do a quick infrared sauna session, which is something that really helps me recover, especially after a hectic and tiring day. It just helps me relax physically, mentally. I just love doing it, especially it's really cold outside, so it's perfect for the weather. Yeah, that's gonna be a wrap up for the day, and I'm gonna for sure go to sleep earlier. I usually do that when I have this type of intensive weeks, because I would rather sleep and get that quality and energy back for the day, for the next day, instead of watching Netflix, for example. It's just not worth for me. I need sleep. I probably need more than average in order to feel really rested and really mentally just 100% productive the next day. I immediately notice when I lack sleep, my productivity just drops, and that's not worth for me to stay up. And tomorrow, as I said, I'm super happy that I have the entire day without any disruptions, and I'm gonna be working through getting the majority of the creative work done, which is finishing all the scripts. I'm definitely gonna be working on the most difficult tasks that require the most cognitive effort, so that the rest of the week I feel a little bit lighter, so to say. So that means I'll see you tomorrow. quick update about how the week goals are progressing. Today was very disappointing for me. I'm not really happy about the results because I wasn't as productive. I actually worked the whole day almost non-stop. It's just that the output was not what I hoped for it to be. I actually didn't manage to complete a single task from my weekly list, which is, it's pretty frustrating. I did a lot of learning and researching actually in both areas. So I did a lot of researching in engineering field because of, not only the presentation that I give, but also generally around the topics that we cover on our YouTube channel or in our training. So basically, and it is also one of my jobs to keep up to date and know everything in the industry. I need to stay a practitioner in order to teach the skills until I find a way to outsource it. But I also don't want to because I'm an engineer and I like to learn new skills or new developments rather in the industry. The other part was probably 50-50. So engineering and then business, because I constantly have to think about, and I constantly do think about our business and how do we expand and how do we increase the revenue, how do we get more resources, because one of the biggest motivations for me in order to increase the revenue and basically 10x our business and take it from 7 to 8 figures is because I just believe that business needs resources. You want to do more ambitious projects and if you want to do much more interesting things, because 7 figures, it is a lot of money for a lot of people personally, but for a business, that's nothing. Like in terms of resources, you can't do much with just $1 million in business. Like you can't build really awesome teams. It's really just scratching the surface. And I just want to feel as abundant in my business as I feel in my personal life, because I know that I need resources for the ambitious projects and goals that I have that I want to implement. And that's actually one of my biggest motivators to grow the revenue of the business, because the motivator is definitely not because I want to personally make more money. At this point of time, that's not what motivates me because I kind of already reached that. Personally, my ambitious is now really specifically for the business. And because of that, I have to think about this every single day, because every project, every awesome idea that I have in my head that requires for me to have more people and more leverage and more resources, every day that I think that I need resources in order to be able to implement that kind of drives me crazy, because it's like, I need to get to that stage where I'm able to implement more of my project and more of my ideas more faster and with more leverage and with more people. And because of that, I need to work on this on a daily basis. So that was actually one of the parts. The process is learning a lot, because everything in business, when you're growing your business for the first time, everything is for the first time, because you are doing email marketing at some point for the first time. You are doing hiring for the first time. You are, building a specific type of culture and team for the first time. So there's a lot of learning involved. And then right now our focus has shifted more towards more exposure and marketing, because that's what, drives up the revenue, because our focus has been almost 100, maybe 90% on the product for the last years. So now we are kind of shifting the focus a little bit. And that's a lot of learning and lots of brainstorming and lots and lots of, kind of circling around. And I have actually 2 business mentors right now, and I'm kind of absorbing lots of ideas from them. But, it's still difficult because it's a very complex task. If I compare it to engineering, running a business and trying to understand every piece and aspect of the business and how to grow, there's so many moving parts involved that it's almost more difficult than DevOps engineering, which is one of the most difficult engineering roles probably in IT, in the whole of IT. So yeah, it's definitely a challenging thing, and it requires for me to also immerse myself into the topic deeply, because it requires a lot of mapping out the different strategies, a lot of moving parts. What is the priority? How do you increase the leverage? There's a lot of things involved. And that's partially why I'm recording those videos, because I also want to share my learnings, because I'm literally learning every single day something new about the business. And I want to share them because I wish that I could find this information online somewhere, easily digestible, for me to just basically take it as a shortcut. That's why I'm doing those talking head videos in my studio parallel to this vlog, because I want to also share this knowledge. But anyways, the day has not been as productive as I wished it to be, which means even though I worked, I basically had per unit of my time invested in work, I didn't get nearly as much output as I wanted to or expected. Yeah, I don't like this type of days, and especially like there's literally very little progress on my weekly goals and tasks, and that's pretty frustrating. So what I did to make it a little bit different tomorrow is also a day where I don't have the meetings, thank God. So I wrote down very, very specific tasks. I usually just, plan, like write the whole script, which is a pretty large task. So I wrote down a little bit more granular tasks for tomorrow so that I know exactly the things that I was working on today. So basically I was writing the script, one of the scripts, which is maybe 70% finished. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna complete that tomorrow. Presentation is maybe 50 to 60% finished. So I need to complete that tomorrow. There was a little bit more research and digging that I wanted to do. So I literally wrote them down like one by one, like all the resources that I want to study and consume. Yeah, so those are the two big points for tomorrow. And then I'll check basically what else is on my weekly list, and I'll just try to push as much forward as possible. Yeah, it's pretty late right now. I'm gonna go home, have dinner, get some rest, and then tomorrow is another day of hustle. And hopefully, I really hope that by the end of tomorrow, I'm gonna have much more done, because the following 2 days I actually have a bunch of stuff going on in the afternoon, meetings. I won't be able to work on those afternoons, but I still have the weekends. Weekends are usually actually weekends are my favorite work days, because I know that nobody's bothering me, nobody's writing to me, no emails, no meetings. So the work that I do on weekend always kind of feels like an extra bonus, like I wrap up all the tasks, all the open to-dos, and kind of catch up with work. I usually look forward to working on weekends, because those are 2 undisturbed days where I just get a lot of things done. And Nikki is basically the same. We usually work weekends. I may take like Sunday half day off, because I also want to have a little bit of reset, because next week I'm probably going to do another intensive week next week, because I want to get a lot of things done. That means till tomorrow. So today is day 3. I'm wearing my Tecoritana hoodie, my favorite one. Anyways, today a lot of work needs to get done. So I'm gonna go to the coffee shop first. I'm gonna finish the presentation script for the conference about platform engineering. Then I'm gonna go to the office. I'm gonna complete the script for this channel. Then I'm going to complete the other script for the Tecoritana channel. And if I manage to do that by the end of the day, it's going to be a very successful day, because producing content or valuable video scripts, it's not only the most productive thing just because I'm producing content, but it is the thing with the most leverage, because when I produce or when I create these valuable, insightful videos that get shared by the community and that brings a lot of value, that is the highest leverage activity that we can do. So whenever I'm working on those stuff, I always feel the most productive. So that's the goal for today. We have the entire day. So from 8 a.m. now till 8 p.m. in the evening. So a lot of things need to get done. Let's go. I just got to my office. It's 11:30, and the good news is that I completed my presentation. I'm super happy with the script and the outline, and the flow. I was able to integrate everything that I wanted to inside the script. And for the audience and for the purpose of the talk, I think it's a perfect one. So I'm very happy about that, which is win number one for today. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I woke up today and got up at 6 a.m., I actually felt like not motivated or inspired at all to start my day and to tackle all these tasks, because I knew it's gonna be hard. I knew it's gonna be a lot of creative work, a lot of cognitive work, and I really didn't feel like either doing my morning routine or the work afterwards. You know, generally at 6 a.m. everything sucks, so you need a little bit of time to get that motivation. But what I learned by observing myself is that there are always these tiny moments of feeling another day that I have to, do all these tasks, and it's gonna be tough, and you already know, like you kind of anticipate because you know it's gonna be tough. But usually what I've learned is that those moments, or the emotion that you feel, which is like too much, or the feeling of being overwhelmed because of what's in front of you, is usually much worse than the actual feeling that you have when you're doing the work. So that pre-anticipation, or that pre-stress of, oh my God, I have to do all this stuff, and also with a little bit of stress of, I have some deadlines and I need to actually get this thing done quicker. That is, as I said, much worse than when you get to work. And I also learned that once I start the work, once I start my morning routine, and I do my exercise, and I eat clean, and I listen to this inspirational interview from someone that I look up to, or once I actually sit down to start the work, the inspiration and the motivation comes afterwards. So that means that if you don't feel inspired to do the work before you start work, it's actually pretty natural and pretty normal. And if you realize that sometimes the motivation and inspiration and the enjoyment starts 10 minutes or 20 minutes in when you actually start doing the work, that basically helps you to ignore that little voice, which is like, oh, I don't feel like getting up now because I have this overwhelming day in front of me, so I don't even feel like getting up. Whenever you have this kind of feeling, you realize it's just this pre-anticipation, but the actual thing is not going to be as bad. So I learned this by observing myself and how I feel in different states, so it's easier for me to kind of shut off this little voice or ignore it and say, it doesn't matter how I feel at 6 a.m. because I just woke up, and of course it feels like everything sucks, but I just need to, kind of do my routine, and then once I get to work, then I'm gonna feel much more inspired and much happier actually with the work. When you have the little win or a big win during the day, that also gives you that additional boost of motivation. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you because I don't wake up motivated to do work every day. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but that should not be the indicator, or that should not be decisive of how the rest of the day goes, because it may change 100 times during the day. So with that being said, I'm gonna tackle my second challenging task of the day, which is I'm gonna complete the What is CI/CD video script so that it's complete and ready for recording, and also complete in a way that I'm happy about it, that I know that it's the best script that I could write. And after that, I'm gonna tackle the third script. It's probably gonna be a lot of work by the end of the day. It's gonna be a lot of cognitive work, writing or completing 3 scripts, because each one is actually a lot of work. And as I said, if I get all this done today, it's gonna be a successful one. Yeah, so I'm gonna start the work and get the momentum going, and then maybe I'm gonna do a break in between and basically complete the whole thing. Maybe it will take 1 or 2 hours. Let's see. Another update, I have scripted out the first part of the script, What is CI/CD script, and the first part, actually I spent much more time on the introduction and the beginning, and then the first part of the video, because let's say if the first part is boring or it doesn't provide a lot of value, then of course the probability that people continue watching it to the end drops tremendously. And that's why I try to stack as much value upfront as possible, and I don't delay. I don't like, oh, stay till the end to get the best whatever. I actually think that right from the very first sentence, the content should deliver value. And that's why I don't do like large introductions of, oh, in this video, we're gonna blah, 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 what I'm gonna talk about for like 5 minutes. I dive right in. I say, in this video, we're gonna learn CI/CD, why it's important, and see some actual real-life engineering projects, whatever. And then let's dive in. Now, I was thinking about today's tasks as I was talking into the camera, because today's tasks are literally about preparing 3 scripts for 3 different purposes. So when you think about it, you may ask, you spend the entire day of 12 hours, 12 like working hours to write scripts for 3 different videos. Like, how is that productive? Like, is that really that valuable? Is it worth spending those hours to get that as an output? And that's actually very important point, and also important to mention why I see those tasks as worth investing my time. Because obviously I started writing all these 3 2 days ago, so it takes some time, right? It doesn't happen in one day. So why is it important? Well, I see those tasks whenever I'm creating a piece of content, which is, in this case, these are all large videos. They're not just short 1-2 minute videos. Is that, plus I'm recording this one, so that's another piece of content. And I see those as high leverage tasks. I also call them value tasks because they generate some kind of value versus if I'm doing like emails and administrative tasks. So because they provide value, they have a lot of leverage. So what do I mean by that? When I started my tech YouTube channel, I was actually doing consulting for companies, right? For engineering teams, actually. So an engineering team would have some issues and bottlenecks, and they would tell their manager, please get Nano on board because we have some issues and we don't know how to proceed. So they would need some kind of technical advice from me. And at that time, I was getting approximately, like depending on the project, but approximately on average 300 euros per hour for my consulting. And you would think, and also back then it was a lot of money per hour, but I actually reduced my consulting hours and I was doing very little of those when I started the YouTube channel, because I switched all my attention to that. And I was not making any money at the beginning with YouTube channel. So it was just consulting, and then most of my time was invested here. So why did I give up the immediate money for something that didn't pay me anything, but would be like more a long-term game? So I saw this consulting work as low leverage tasks. Why? Because as soon as the consulting was over, let's say I did a few days of consulting with this team or the other teams, the consulting project was over, the revenue stream was over, and I didn't have anything tangible at the end other than, okay, maybe a little bit of knowledge about, different projects and how different projects operate, but that I didn't have any product or anything tangible created at the end, right? That would serve me for at least a few months or a few years afterwards. Whereas when thinking about the content, I saw that I can take this knowledge that I'm, selling now as a consultant, I could package it in this super easily digestible, understandable content video format, super nice visuals to make it easy to follow, and I can share it with the whole world for free. And this will reach hundreds of thousands of engineers worldwide who are also working in different projects and different companies. And this way, I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to build a following. I'm going to build an actual community because I'm delivering value. Instead of one team somewhere in the world, I'm delivering this value to hundreds of teams all around the world, right? And again, initially, we did 10 months of intensive content creation on YouTube channel without thinking even about monetizing anything, because I just knew that when you deliver value, like monetizing and selling something which gives even more value is not going to be as difficult. And it turned out to be true. So now going back to today's tasks. So the presentation that I'm doing is basically, so there are going to be up to 1,000 attendees at the conference. So it's a hybrid conference basically on this company. Usually I don't do conferences and talks because of the same reason. But in this case, I did it because I still saw it as a moderately leveraged type of task. And I know that, so first of all, it's a huge company. So they have, I think, around 15,000 engineers in the company. So I know that 15,000 engineers will see my presentation. And, of course, I mentioned my channel in the presentation and additional resources that we have on the website, which means that those people may get into our network, into our community, right? And that's why I invest a lot of time in presentation, because I want it to be extremely valuable so that after the presentation, they're like, oh my God, she explains everything in a way that I understood completely, a concept that I had no idea about after just 45 minutes. And I want to, I would like to learn more from her. Or when they see our videos the next time, they were like, okay, I'm going to click on this because I saw her speak on one of the conferences that I attended. And those people will become part of a community and maybe consume more videos and become fans and spread the word and so on. So it kind of has this domino effect. Instead of you just do it once and then the impact is there. It's lost, right? So it's just a one-time thing and it doesn't have any long-term implications. And as I said, this is more like middle leverage thing. It's not as huge as actual like publicly posting content, but it still has that kind of value. The second one, which is what I'm doing right now, creating this script for CI/CD concept, which is an extremely popular and widespread topic. So I know that when we release this video, it's going to get, again, hundreds of thousands of views and reach lots of engineers. So I think about all the effects and the chain reaction it's gonna have for us and why it's so high leverage. We post this content and I try to make it as valuable as possible. Let's say it's 20 minutes of pure value where I explain what it is and take someone from having absolutely no idea or having even more confused image of this to completely clear about what it is. Awesome, I delivered a lot of value. Now they want to watch other videos or they want to consume more of my content instead of learning it from somewhere else. They want to see what other resources we have. So they sign up for email newsletter. They become a subscriber. They become part of the community, right? They tell their friends. They share on LinkedIn, which happens all the time. So I have investment of my time to create the best tutorial on YouTube ever. And it may take me 3-4 days, but once it's out there, it basically works and has impact for years to come. I was checking YouTube analytics of our Tech100 channel today, and I saw that we have 4 to 5 videos that are always top of the channel, right, in terms of views. And we created them like 3-4 years ago. And consistently, those videos are getting around 2,000 views every 48 hours on average. Sometimes even more, sometimes a little bit less, but it's in that range. So we have these videos that we created 4 years ago that are still bringing in people in our community. And those people may sign up again for a newsletter. They may follow us on LinkedIn. So we are increasing and growing our brand more and more. And also, in addition to that, imagine if DevOps, which is still like a niche thing that teaching, becomes even more popular, right? In 2 years, everybody's jumping on DevOps. So now imagine the impact that our videos will have when DevOps blows up. And that means this is probably one of the most high leverage activity that I can do because it helps build the brand. It helps bring people in our email. And then we have email automations and email funnels. So percentage of them will buy our DevOps Bootcamp and decide to learn different tasks from our courses instead of going somewhere else. So this whole cycle basically starts with one piece of content that is like the first domino piece. And then once you hit it, basically kind of has this chain reaction or the domino effect. And that's why I like spending my time on these type of tasks, and I don't like spending my time on low leverage tasks, because every time I'm doing, I don't know, an administrative work or doing something which is like one-time setup, I always feel like I could be using the time creating a piece of content that basically has this huge leverage for us long-term for years to come. And that's why I always prioritize this type of stuff. I proactively plan them. I have days when I have no meetings and no administrative work because I realize that this is what has the most effect and drives the business and the growth and the brand the most. And then for today, I have planned this other script for this channel right now, which is still very little. Now I call this business channel because I share my business insights and advice. Now, I don't plan to have any, paid courses or whatever because, I'm an engineering expert. I'm not a business expert. I'm just documenting what I know and what I've learned. However, I still see it as a high leverage because if you think about it, having a personal brand alone in a field like business, right, or engineering, like how much value does that have versus, you just doing like one-on-one consulting, right? So you can't even assign a monetary value to that because it gives you access to a huge network of people in that community, right? When someone consumes your resources. So personal brand and having a community has already become this huge leverage. Like people who may be 10 times wealthier or more successful, like financially more successful than you, will put you on the same level if you have a following or a social media brand that they don't have, right? Because it almost has the same weight as a financial success, especially when you are talking to other business people, other entrepreneurs, or other people in your community. So even though, this business channel, I literally started because I just wanted to document it and just build a brand. So purely just to build a brand, because I know the implications of having an impact of having a business brand, of getting access to a lot of entrepreneurs through that is just priceless, just uncomparable. So that's why I invest equal amount of effort and time in now creating a video that probably will get just a few thousand, maybe like 2,000-3,000 views, which is what we get right now on average. But I'm absolutely patient with it because I don't mind a slow growth. We had the same thing with Tech for Me channel, and now we are at more than 1 million. So I still see it as an important task, and that's why I don't mind investing my time and effort into this type of stuff, right? So even if it takes 3-4 days, I don't get impatient. I do get a little bit impatient, but I still realize this is an investment in the future. Like this exact activity is gonna have implication for years down the line, right? And that's how I think about every single task when I prioritize them. Now, don't get me wrong, I also think about short-term goals, and especially in terms of revenue, I want to grow our business as soon as possible to 8 figures. But this is more like a other side of the equation, because even when I think about growing revenue short-term, I still think about how can I achieve that with these type of long-term results or long-term tasks. I want to achieve that result, but I'm not going to do it by, like one-time consulting. Or for example, when companies ask us to train their engineers with some custom training, I could jump on it and do it. But again, I don't see it as a high leverage thing because it's very close to like custom consulting. And that's why I always prioritize something that has long-term, tangible impact on our brand and the company. So I wanted to plug in that thought or that perspective of mine into the video as I was thinking about it. And I guess the break is over now. Back to preparing and completing the YouTube video script. Let's learn what CI/CD is, but more interestingly, why these concepts are so important and what problems they solve. A quick check-in. I actually completed the What is CI/CD video script, which turned out exactly as I wanted, and I'm super happy with it. I I thought of every single sentence in the script, and the flow, basically, I had to rewrite and reshuffle some parts, but it's exactly where I wanted. It has a lot of specific example. It has the exact flow that, you know, engineers would be like, oh my God, this is exactly my project. This is exactly how it is. And, you know, having this problem solution structure, basically it's really what I wanted. And I completed the script and I thought, the script is ready, why not just record it? Because I usually need to be like in a certain energy state to record videos. So I was like, you know, I'm super energetic and motivated now because I just finished writing the script. So I went ahead and recorded the whole thing, and that means I'm done with this task. Now we can go to post-production. This will probably be the first video that will go to our new video editor. So instead of Nikki, who has become a bottleneck in our video post-production because she is the one who does all the animations and editing. So now we have someone who can take some of her work so Nikki can again focus on other kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm very happy that I completed it, and I'm happy that I completed it in exactly the way I wanted. I also worked a little bit on the introduction to make sure that it's straight to the point, that it delivers the promise that's in the title and thumbnail, which is a little tweak that I learned from Mr. Beast. He basically says that within the first couple of seconds, you need to deliver the promise that you are giving on thumbnail and title by saying, this is what the video is going to be, and let's dive in. And I mentioned this is a high leverage thing because we deliver value and we also get people in our community instead of being dependent on YouTube algorithm in our email community. So we're going to create a checklist, like an accompanying valuable asset, which probably going to be like a practical guide or checklist or something like that, and basically give people incentive to come to our email community where we can deliver even more value, but in a controlled way where we know that the message will be delivered to the person instead of just relying on the algorithm. So super happy with it. And now, speaking of videos and leverage that we have with it, Nikki just mount this because I need both hands. All right. So she just notified me that she released new YouTube video just 37 minutes ago, and this is one of those amazing leveraged videos, which basically is a full roadmap. People love roadmaps because it's really useful because it literally helps you understand where you need to start, what you need to learn in which order, and so on. So it looks pretty good. We have some amazing comments and feedback already. Let's refresh this. I felt really good about this video actually. So there you go. There is a feedback on our DevOps Bootcamp directly under our video. This is amazing. Wow. So apparently one of our bootcamp students commented, and there you go. People are commenting, liking, because they're getting value from it. And that's exactly how it should be.
How much time you should.
And that's exactly why I try to give so much value in our YouTube videos. So we're slowly becoming like content production machines, basically, because before I continue with another script that I want to prepare for this channel, I also got a notification from my video editor. Where is it? There you go. That a vlog is ready for review, or for a second review actually, which is going to be released probably next week on this channel. So I basically documented my exact process of how I prepare, how I script and create video for our Tech for Minana YouTube channel that gets so many views. And the thought process and planning basically encompasses, as well as it has this day in a life character basically. And I'm really happy with the result. I'm happy with the quality, editing. They really did an amazing job. So when you're watching this, that video is already posted, and I hope it helps a lot of people to, one, get insights into the content creation process when it comes to creating something that really has a lot of value. So you invest a lot of time upfront in something that gives you a tremendous return on your invested time versus just creating some shallow level content very fast. So I'm going to be reviewing this video. I'm going to be writing script for another one. Yeah, that's probably going to be it. For today, it's 5 p.m. right now. So yeah, I hope I'm going to be able to lock in for another 1 or 2 hours, because that's probably gonna require for me to complete the other script. I also want it to be super, super awesome, and then that's gonna be end of the day. Today has been much, much better and much more productive, and I'm much happier with the output of today than I was yesterday. But it also means that a lot of work that I did yesterday also contributed to me completing all this stuff today. So you always have to kind of go through these stages of nothing's progressing, nothing's working, and then you stick to it, and then you have basically those wins at the end. With that, this video is probably going to be super long, but I just wanted to show the entire process and entire week instead of just snippets. So let's see how it turns out at the end. PM, some final tasks for the evening. All right, so another update, because while I was working on these high leverage tasks like writing scripts for various videos and so on, a lot of other things were going on in the background. Forgive the mess in the background here, but in business background, because obviously Nikki, my co-founder, she was working just as hard as I was on various other stuff that are priorities, which is an amazing feeling for me to know that while I'm focusing on my tasks, I know that a lot of other things that are also important for the business are going forward, because Nikki as well as my whole team are working on them. And that is the biggest leverage that you can get as an entrepreneur, where you have the team around you that basically pushes the whole thing, so you're not alone and you're not the only one doing the work, but that there's a lot of support system around you basically. So one important thing that we wanted to execute was start doing influencer marketing. So while we have a large community, we also understand that there are a lot of people with their own communities there that may have a little bit of overlap with ours, but mostly people who don't know us and our channel or what we do. So we wanted to kind of actually for the first time try out influencer marketing. So the goal was to reach out to at least 30 specifically software engineers who are just focusing on software engineering, and basically bring them in our community somehow. And there was a task. So Nikki reached out to basically, she first of all screened a lot of them to find out who is the perfect match. We are influencers, we work with brands ourselves, we do this, so we know how it is from the other side. So we try to make it attractive for them and make kind of a win-win deal for both of us. And she already reached out to them, and she already made a few agreements or deals, so to say, with a few really good content creators in software development field. And we actually have already booked, I think, 2 or 3 different campaigns with them. So things like including a message in their newsletter that they send to the community and stuff like that. And the way we do it is we always, even if it's like a shout out from us, it is a valuable, mostly free resource, because that's the best way to get someone in your community and get the trust or build the trust, is by first giving value and giving more value and over again before you even ask for something in return. And that was the goal, to basically bring those people to our channel, to our email list, so that we can start giving them value from our side. So I'm really happy about that she was able to do it so quickly. We move fast at Tech4Banana. We both have this urgency of executing stuff, and I'm really happy about it. I'm happy to have a co-founder who has the same work ethic and same level of execution, urgency, and the quality of execution as I have. Yeah, it just works the best when you have a co-founder like this. And the second update is that she actually prepared the presentation slides for my talk that I was working on. I have scripted everything. I gave her a little bit of outline and she prepared the slides. She's the one who does the graphical side of things, and it looks absolutely amazing. Let me show you a quick sneak peek of it. So that's basically the first slide. Actually, it's in full screen mode. And she always adds fun details, like I would start talking about platform engineering, where's my mic? Platform engineering, and then obviously the first thing people ask, for those who don't know me, who is this person? Why is she talking about this certain topic? And then I explain what we do and introduce myself, and then basically dive into the topic. And the slides, simple, but really good. Awesome. And this is the reference guide that I mentioned to basically create something specifically for the talk. And then another fun addition for any questions at the end. I like this kind of light. So a presentation that teaches a lot, but also has this little bit of fun. So that's the update from behind the scenes from another co-CEO or founder in the business. I'm very happy about the results. And yeah, that's the wrap up of today. It's 8 p.m. right now, so I'll finish the day with my favorite activity, which is dinner and watching some fun TV show. And then I will actually write a to-do or some goals for tomorrow that I'm going to be tackling. And it's obviously going to be from that weekly list. So we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, I forgot to add a few other stuff that was also going on in the background, so plug in here. So that's the presentation, but she also did the whole onboarding of our new video editor. So she basically setting up the contract as well as giving all the accesses and stuff. So she's gonna start tomorrow, and I already have a video for her that I recorded today actually. So she's gonna start working on that. So she managed all of that. She's also the one that usually, manages. So we have a customer support person who is doing most of the emails, but she's the one that kind of oversees the whole thing and makes any improvements. If someone has an issue, there are any fires basically coming from either students or people who are interested in enrolling and they have any issues or whatever, Nikki's the one to jump first if our customer support doesn't have any solution. So this kind of stuff. So as an example, we were discussing this. Sometimes we have people who write us because they have problem with the payment, with our payment provider, whatever. Sometimes it happens because of fraud detection, whatever. And, it is frustrating for someone when they want to buy a product, but they have some issue with payment, even if it's from their side or from their bank side. So we decided to introduce this new thing where whenever we have someone who has these kind of issues of enrolling, we basically, first of all, we solve their problem, but we go beyond that and we give them some kind of additional bonus value to compensate for the frustration. Because I understand, like if I imagine myself, I put myself in their shoes, I know that it can be frustrating. You want to enroll in something, you want to give someone money and it's just not working and you're like, what is happening? Why is this a problem? So she basically, created the whole workflow and led the workflow of what that goodie or that valuable asset should be and updated our customer support on that. So basically, and also jumped in and helped the person and helped our student to sort through the issue. And this type of stuff happen almost every day. So she's the one who manages all this complexity and all these operational tasks, which allows me to focus undisturbed on the type of value or high leverage tasks that I mentioned today, that I was working on today, whole day. And it is amazing. Yeah, to have this type of distribution of responsibilities. Obviously, I'm also the one that, if we have this type of issues that we brainstorm together, how do we optimize, how do we make better. I also am the one who onboards new team members and does interviews, but generally it's really important and it's just so helpful that I don't have to do everything, because business has so many sides and so many aspects. It's really difficult to manage everything yourself, especially there is probably no one person who has strength in all the areas. So for me to be able to kind of divide the responsibility between me and her, and then get additional people on board who can take on more, who can take on other stuff from us, that's basically what helps grow the business, because at some point we noticed that we became the bottlenecks of the business, so we needed to have extra resources and extra talent and skills to basically grow. And at this point, our business, is growing and is becoming a little bit more complex. So we have been expanding our team. I think right now we have 10 people in our team. So yeah, we're growing, but that is amazing, because that means that we are able to do even more, produce even more, have even higher impact, and I'm super happy to see that kind of growth. Paragraphs in the script. Done. So I have officially completed both of the scripts for this channel. One of them has a lot of depth, so it's not just shallow productivity advice, whatever. It's basically an advice and insight for mostly engineers or entrepreneurs. It actually works pretty much the same for two specific fields, and it's about the importance of working on. And I had a lot of time thinking about this, because I wanted it to be a very in-depth topic, because the topic itself is very profound. And the other script is a little bit more shallow, I would say, but more practical and like very simple and easy to implement, about productivity, procrastination, but also includes the psychological understanding of how the brain works and how to basically use that information to implement stuff that makes you more productive. And I'm actually happy about both scripts. I just completed writing the in-depth one right now, and I'm very happy about it. I literally have 3 different variations of this script, because I rewrote this for the 3rd time right now from scratch, and it ended up being completely a different one. Here it is, and I'm very happy about the results. Pretty long. So this is the final script. I had this one, and lots of other notes. I am exhausted right now. That was a challenging. It is different to what I'm used to writing most of the time, because I write technical tutorials, so it has a different format. So I'm going to be recording it this week in my studio and hopefully sharing it soon. Now I'm gonna recover a little bit, continue working a few other tasks for today. I have a meeting. So right now it's 2 p.m. I have a meeting in 1.5 hours, a quick meeting, and then I have another one with my executive assistant. And then at 6 p.m., I'm actually meeting 3 entrepreneurs, a group basically where we go play some sports, just to meet like-minded people, entrepreneurs, because that's a limited social life that I have outside of work, because literally working most of the time. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So today is Thursday. It's day 4 of this intense week, and I haven't done most of the tasks. However, I have done the top most difficult and challenging tasks, which means all these lighter, easier tasks that don't need as much creative work and mental capacity. I'm going to be doing them in the next 3 days. But that means the hard part is over, and I'm actually very happy with it. So yeah, the week is going productively so far. So let's continue with the work after a little break. It's day 5, 3 p.m. and I've been working on a bunch of stuff. To be honest, I have been a little bit overwhelmed because a few things came in between that I didn't plan in for the week, but they were still important to work on. So we were faster than expected in getting a few influencer deals. So basically we reached out to other content creators in software engineering, to do some type of collaboration with them, and it went pretty fast. And we booked 3 different spots, and that means once the agreement was set up, now we have been creating the creative, which means the design and basically what we want to offer to their communities and how the funnel will look like and stuff like that. So we need to create creatives or resources for those specific campaigns. So that was one thing that we didn't plan for, but I'm happy that it actually went faster than I thought. So this week I actually planned just to reach out to, just establish connection and contact and start the communication, but it just went pretty fast, which is probably it's a logical thing because we are doing the same thing for other companies. So we are the influencers, so we understand their perspective, and the agreement and the communication went much faster and easier because we understand their side as well. So I'm really, really curious to see how this works out. This is our first ever try of using other influencers to promote our community and our resources. So let's see how it goes. On the flip side of it, Nikki did a pretty nice brand deal with a tech company. We sold like a mid 5-figure deal over email. So Nikki did because she basically is the one who manages all those brand deals and does the negotiation, does the screening of the companies to basically make sure that their product or whatever they offer aligns with our community and what their interests are, and does kind of like a background check on the company itself, because obviously we don't want to do deals with some weird random companies and products because we are very protective of our brand, so we're kind of picky. And once we have the deal settled, then I basically go and prepare the resources, the shout out in our video, the script, and I do the recording and they review it, and that's basically how the workflow works. That means I'll need to prepare the shout out and do the recording for the next video, for the What is CI/CD video actually, for the next video. And this is some additional little extra revenue for us. We do that time to time, not so often. Obviously, it's not our main stream of revenue, but it has a huge advantage. It is a one-off thing, so it's not like creating your own product and then scaling it out to distribute it globally. It's a one-off thing. However, it has a huge benefit, which is it's pure profit, right? It's 100% margin, basically. And the sale is done over email. I prepare the thing, maybe like 30 minutes, and that's it. And it has a great effect for the company and the brand who is doing it with us, because they are exposed to our community, and because we do so few of those type of deals, they are basically one of the few our community sees. And so it's a win-win for everybody, and that's what we do time to time. So that's the power of a brand, basically, that you can leverage your reach and your community that you've built over years in this type of way. There were a few other things which naturally always come up from the team, because your team members need resources or decision from you, that basically when you need to jump in and do some stuff. But I always try to buffer in some time and plan for it, because it always kind of comes up. And talking about the teams, so the first half of the day I spent on, doing the creative work, thinking about the business side, the marketing side, as well as the content that we're producing. And the second half of today is going to be meeting with the new team member that we onboarded and our executive assistant. So we're going to be meeting basically in person. Our team is very distributed and remote, so it's always good to see people that are working with us in person. This is actually a third team member that is in Vienna. And basically, so we onboarded our new product manager, or we also call it customer success manager already. All the accesses, the project goals and everything, that's how fast we are actually getting someone on board and getting them productive in the team, so that they don't have to be frustrated and spend a lot of time on where do I get the access, what tools do I need, where are the links and the passwords and stuff like that, because we try to optimize and make this process super efficient, even though we have a small team and we're not like hiring every month. We still invested some time to make sure that this goes smoothly, because we have little effort and the person is productive basically within like 1 day. So today is going to be like a second kickoff meeting, which means we're going to go through like anything that is still unclear, anything that we need to clarify between us in order to kind of get going, and most importantly to set the project goals, to define what are the priorities, what is the focus of that new team member, and basically just work on integrating the person into the team, because even if you hire really good people, you need to invest time in onboarding them, and you need to work closely with them, especially at the beginning, because they need to have a sense of purpose. Why are they doing what they're doing, and what is like the goal basically for the first few months and then long term. I actually learned this from Ben Horowitz's book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things, which has a lot of tips and advice for recruiting and hiring, and I actually use a lot of details from that book. I started using them as soon as I read the book in my recruiting and team management process. And that's going to be the focus of today. This is an important role for us because it literally is about customer success management. And we know that our customers are having success, but we also want to make it more transparent for us, for the team, and then for public, obviously. So that's going to be the role that's basically going to improve the overall communication and just make the communication more frequent with our customers. And I'm really looking forward to getting this project off the ground and basically having someone who is really a good fit for this project, having them on board, and really excited to see the results. And that's going to be the end of the day. And we already planned actually a few tasks for the weekend. Some of them were stuff that came in that was not planned for the week. So it's going to make completing all the tasks for the week that I planned a little bit challenging. But it always happens, right? When something important comes in that needs your attention. And that specifically is, we got very detailed feedback on our email funnel that we built out, and a few other specific areas of our product sales and value ladder and all this stuff. And that means we're gonna go through the entire list and analysis, and we're gonna plan to implement every single detail or implement some of the stuff right away. And this type of work is probably the most boring work, where you do like A/B tests and split tests, and you test with this subject line and that one, and tweak your emails and think of like new product strategies and stuff like that. But these are also some of the tasks that have the biggest impact on your revenue, and the biggest, most impactful levers that you can pull in order to change your revenue. And that's why no matter how boring or how tedious they seem, I always try to prioritize working on those problems and those basically, because I realized if I learn those skills, whether it's email marketing or traffic and conversion and this type of details, that was not really interesting for me. It will have probably the highest return on my learning effort investment, and that's why I try to dedicate a lot of time to that, and test it and analyze it and see what works and doesn't work. And that's what we're going to be doing as part of this task of optimizing our email. So we have this version 2 of the email funnel that we created based on the version 1 learnings. And now we're gonna go to the version 1, which we just released like a week ago. And now we're gonna basically go through and optimize a lot of things based on whatever we're continuously learning, and we're probably gonna continue doing it, and then see and monitor basically what are the results, what is the impact. So that's gonna be a lot of work. And one of our main focuses right now for probably next few weeks, or maybe even a few months. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. And as part of my overall goal of growing our company to 8 figures, that's going to be probably one of the most essential tasks that I'm going to be working on, of course, along with content creation and continuing to deliver a lot of value and get even more exposure, but doing this type of boring, tedious stuff in the background, in the back end, basically. That's the plan. Honestly, I'm not sure if I will manage to really get everything done that I ambitiously planned for this week. I will still try, even though I had a bunch of other stuff coming in that basically added on my workload. So let's see how it goes. I'll be doing a little bit more work before our meeting, which is in 45 minutes, and then basically just prepare some stuff tomorrow. This is how the week, or today, currently looks like in my calendar. And we have another big win. So one big win was that we already made 3 deals with other influencers. So we're gonna launch our first campaign, basically influencer campaigns, next week. The second big win was that we did a deal with a company, a brand deal, as influencers, which is a pretty good one. The company is amazing, the product is great, and it's also a pretty large one because they bought a package. And the third one is we actually launched a video on our YouTube channel, on Tech YouTube channel. We launched it yesterday, 1 day ago, and it's performing really, really well. We have lots of amazing comments, and we're actually giving away a valuable resource for free in this video, which is we started this new strategy and approach to deliver not only value in the video, but also as an accompanying resource. I don't like giving random basic checklists or handouts because I don't see a lot of value in that. I like to give something that they can just, generate themselves on ChatGPT, or they can get somewhere else by other companies. So I want it to be very hands-on, very practical, very actionable, something that they can literally just, take and use to learn something, or to plan their learning, or to use it at their work in their engineering project or whatever. So we created this a very detailed, structured roadmap with a learning guide and weekly schedule and stuff like that. And we decided to give it away for free, accompanying this video. And as a result, basically get people who are interested in learning DevOps in our email community so that we can start giving even more value and basically building the trust by sending them valuable resources, content, more videos, maybe tips that they can easily implement. And we can do that in a much more controlled way over email, and that's why we started much more actively to get people from our social media community into our email community so that we're not dependent on algorithm to talk to them and communicate with them and deliver value, but rather we can basically just directly send it to them and also allow them to reply back to the email and say what they liked, what they didn't like, what else do they want, ask them questions, and then we have customer support who will reply those questions and stuff like that. So this is part of the overall strategy and something that has been working really, really, really well. And again, I just believe it works really well because people know that whenever we're offering something, they always get a lot of value in exchange. So here is a result. So this is the handout that we gave out for free. And let's see, there you go. We have over 1,000 on the release day. This was yesterday, and this is still ongoing today. And we got 2,000 emails or email signups, basically people who visited our page in 2.5 days, basically, and downloaded our freebie and signed up on our email list, which is pretty amazing. Mostly because this gives us opportunity to to basically build even more trust with these people, to bring and deliver even more value by directly sending them resources or information or tutorials or basically a bunch of stuff that we have created either in video format or in text format, whatever, without having to rely on an algorithm that sometimes does not show your content to people who are actually interested in consuming that. That's a big switch we made, and it's been working really, really well. I think this is a pretty amazing result. So, it's Sunday morning and it's a scorecard time for my wildly ambitious week. So let's see how we did. We had a few big wins. The Bosch presentation is polished and ready to speak in front of tens of thousands of engineers. Our new video editor is not just onboarded, but already diving into animations, and our first ever short videos. So task more than done. Super happy about that. Our freshly minted PM is also ready to dive in with all the system accesses granted and the project scope also defined. We also completely revamped our email funnel, which was a massive amount of work, but an important one, especially for our customer retention and revenue. And I devoured 180 pages of that business book full of some actionable gems that I actually planned in to implement in the next 2 months. But let's keep it real. Some balls definitely dropped, and there were tasks that I didn't even get to, and some that I was only able to half complete. Like the content recording didn't go as planned. I still need to record the scripted videos. The short videos, I couldn't even get to that task, unfortunately, so it's still open. And the 2-day fast that I wanted to do, well, my discipline crumbled at around 26 hours when the coffee shop pastries started looking more and more delicious. So I couldn't hold it for 2 full days. So I did kind of half version of that. And I also couldn't prepare for this business event in Germany that we're flying to soon. Now, as expected, some unexpected fires happened, throwing perfectly laid plan off the rail, as it usually happens. But there were also some good unplanned work as well, not just the emergencies. Like the influencer marketing went much faster, which meant that we already had to prepare some creatives for 2 different newsletters. And we also released the entire funnel with lead magnets for each campaign. And this is, by the way, exactly why planning is important. Not because everything will go according to the plan, it won't actually, but because having that clear plan still moves you intentionally in the right direction, even with tons of urgencies or unplanned stuff popping up here and there. So you are still in control of what projects or what things move forward while there are some emergencies on the way. So the lesson from this is plan ambitiously, because it's much better to overplan than underplan, because you may not achieve everything, but 70% of a super ambitious plan is much better than 100% of plan that doesn't push or challenge you even a bit. And once you have the plan, execute relentlessly with a full focus on those priorities while staying flexible enough to catch any curveballs without completely derailing your week. So that's our final score. And now, excuse me while I take my well-deserved half day off before diving into the next week's planning session, this time with some proper buffer built in as well, because the entrepreneurial roller coaster continues, because we have more stuff to build and create, and I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. Now, I really hope this video was inspirational, so please let me know if it was below. I personally watch such vlogs, especially when I need that extra kick of motivation, because they really inspire me. So I hope these vlogs do this for you as well. Thanks for staying with me till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.